I immediately made an appointment with a guy named Frank Van Growski. Still remember his name. And the headquarters of Mid-Atlantic Bank was in East Jesus. I mean, long way away. And I went there, and over the next 2 or 3 years, I gave them more business than was choked on. And I still remember he was left-handed and he used to sign, you know, his name like lefties do. And the signature used to be all smudged. And I said, "What's wrong, Frank?" He says, "Because you make me nervous. You make the bank nervous." And his hands were perspiring. That's why he smudged his signature. Well, why are you making the loan? And he says, "Because it's a good credit. You know, we believe in you and your team." And I used to say, you know, it was 3 million, 4 million, 8 million, whatever the number was. If it's ever for 100 million, I'm going to Brazil with the money, straight to Brazil. And they go, "Jesus, Dan, don't tell us that," you know. And then they look back in their file. Well, I mean, how soon will they be asking for $100 million? You know, and you know, maybe I'll be retired by then. And because then I poke fun at these guys, and they like it because none of the other customers poke fun. Nobody says that if you make me a $100 million loan, I'm going to steal it and run to Brazil. Nobody. I can assure you, nobody says that. Okay. And of course, I performed on all the loans, and I did all the things just like I'm supposed to. But I always, you know, poke fun at them, you know, and but you know, I said I'd take that friendly bank bullshit ad off the television if I were you. I mean, you're going to get some real bad guys in here. Okay, can an institution take the next level? Okay, unsecured. You always want unsecured. I told you unsecured limits, secured limits, and as much as possible, you want unsecured lending. You don't want secured lending. You want unsecured lending because that'll leave you free to leverage your assets to get more when you need it down the road. Why should you change banks? I told you, if he leaves, you go with the banker as long as it's not down to a smaller bank. Why most lending is ultimately done in relationships. I think I've covered that. How you effectively position yourself for future lending requirements, developing a relationship. I covered that. The difference between asset lending. Asset lending is he and I own a building together, and we want to buy another building. And so what we want to put that building up as collateral. We don't want to cross-collateralize it, but if worst push comes to shove, because we want the building, we cross-collateralize it. But if it's an income building or it's an income deal, you're lending against cash flow, not the asset. In today's market, as shitty as it is, people want to have it collateralized by the building, the hard asset, and the cash flow, not one or the other. In better days, you could get away with one. And banks cyclically go from asset lending to cash flow lending, to asset lending until they get buried like they have the last 4 or 5 years. Now they want assets and cash flow. Go ahead.
How much cash flow, like if you have $3 million in cash flow, how much can you expect the bank to lend you on cash flow lending?
Well, let's just make it simple. 10% interest. It's not 10%, but let's just make it simple. Okay. And let's just say we only have 10 months in a year, not 12 months in a year. Okay. That means if you're got you said 3 million, right? 3 million cash flow. You've got 500,000 a month. 3 times 12. 3 12s is 24. No, 3 12s is 36, right? Mm-hmm. Let's make it 36. It's easier. You got $300,000 a month cash flow, 300. So you can cover payments up to either 1-to-1, which means $300,000 a month payment, or probably they're going to want you to have payments of something more than 1-to-1 or